point of this. Something I did want to talk to you about was Scratch. This is a book I wrote yesterday. I didn't write it. This is a book I was mentioning yesterday. It's called Scratch, Writer's Money and the Art of Making a Living by Manjula Martin is the editor, and it's a collection of essays and interviews by different writers, and they're writers of various kinds. Some of them are full-time authors, and some of them are people who, write for the fun of it. Like, they're freelancers, they are people who write in like the corporate sector and stuff like that. They don't necessarily, because there are lots of ways to be a writer these days. And one I was reading yesterday, the chapter I read yesterday was, what was it? Faith, Hope, and Credit. And it's this story by Cheryl Strayed, who wrote the book Wild. I haven't read that, but I saw the movie. She wrote the books Wild and Torch, and her whole story is about how it's about income, about how like not just freelancing, but writing, like chasing the dream of writing and being like a full-time, like having her books out there in the world. And I would equate that to like any big adventure, any big thing that you want to like pursue in life. Is there's a lot of faith that goes into it, because you have to believe in something beyond yourself. You have to like be fully persuaded that this thing you want to have happen will actually happen. And you need to be, because that's what faith means. It means to be fully persuaded. And there's a lot of hope in there, because you need to trust that you're able to do this and that it'll work out if you just keep going, that it'll work out for you. And then credit, because anyone who's started a business or, quit their job to pursue some big idea knows that, there's a lot of struggle involved in that before you actually get kind of, no, that's not actually the essence of it. Well, she talks about that, but what the essay is really about is the tension between notoriety and money, and like making it socially and in terms of status and stuff, and making it financially. And so like in the context of what I do, like being a freelancer, being a business owner, social media, I would say the same thing goes with like social media and stuff like that. A lot of times there is this socially where digitally your platform looks amazing and it's doing all the best things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting money and income and all that jazz from it. And I thought it was just like an interesting concept, that there is a lot of like you have to be fully persuaded that social media marketing and content marketing is going to work for your business. That's like the one point. The other point is you need to have this hope that this venture that you're doing, that the strategies you're employing, the decisions you're making, that they're gonna work out if you just keep doing it. And you know what? Something I've learned is if a certain road, a certain sequence of steps worked for someone, then if I follow those same steps to the best of, my ability, not just for one person, but for like a ton of people, if I follow those same steps to the T, it should lead me in the same direction. It should lead me to the same result. If not, then I need to either adjust either the road they were going on or the path they were leading is not suited to me, because maybe it's too strenuous, it's too whatever, so it could be that their steps are not the right steps for me, or it could be that I didn't follow all the steps and I got derailed somewhere. I took a detour or whatever. So it's either I didn't follow the steps correctly, or the specific path wasn't the right one for me, and I need to find a path that someone else took, a different way up the same mountain, in terms of social media success and content creation success and business success. That's when I talk about the mountain, that's the mountain I'm referring to, mountain of success. So it kind of made me think about that, and it made me think about just the concept of all that jazz. I'm gonna save this for some other time. I'm gonna save this one for some other time, but let me just talk about it anyway. So she talks about that, and I think she also mentions that a lot of people, once they have that social notoriety and fame, as well as the monetary success, they change. And she kind of has this whole thing where people thought that she changed when she got the money, but she was like, she actually didn't change. She's been in the same circles the whole time. And there were people who knew her way before she published her first book, and definitely before her second book became a success. And she's still in those circles. She still meets those people, and some of those people are billionaires, and some of those people are super wealthy and super wealthy but super unknown. Some of those people are not wealthy and not known, and some people are well known and wealthy, or well known and not wealthy, the way that she was for many years between when her book got published and she got her first kind of royalty check. And she got her first royalty check where she was able to pay off all her credit debt and actually make a living off of her writing. And like the space in between those two things kind of being on the same level, or you being in that same quadrant, it can take time, it can take years. The two don't necessarily happen at the same time. And you can be making bank off of your social media with 100 followers or 1,000 followers, and you can have 20 million followers on social media and be broke. Like, that's a thing that can happen. So I just thought that her piece was very interesting and insightful, and the core message being to know who you are when you're pursuing awesome things, or whatever it is that you are, your labors of love. When you're pursuing things, know what it is that makes you you. Know how you decide to measure success, and if you're gonna change on the way up the mountain, make sure that you're changing for the better, and not like, don't become a jerk or a douchebag on the way up the mountain. Like, be yourself, be who you've always been, and leave your ego at the door, because there are 1,000 people trying to climb that mountain, and not all of them are gonna succeed. And sometimes, there's a lot of luck involved as well with some things. And I'm gonna edit this into something that makes sense, because I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I'm enjoying this. I'm reading it like a chapter a day, and I'm also just enjoying reading words strung together by thoughtful writers. Like, I think there was, I don't know if it's the introduction or there was this one chapter where I legit just highlighted words because I liked the way it was written, like the flow of it, and it kind of reminded me that it's important for writers to read, not just because to read physical things, to see the words with your eyes and not just hear them flow. Because like I listen to a lot of audiobooks and stuff, but like seeing the words on the page reminded me again that the importance for writers to read is not just because it's part of our craft and we need to hear how other people say things, but it's also to see the individual words being put together. It's like when you're looking at, like when an artist studies a painting, they're looking at the brushstrokes, and words are the brushstrokes of a writer. Just like, who's this author? Nina McLaughlin. She wrote an essay about with compliments and how she wrote some free stuff for her Pele's, and people would be like, they wrote her an email about how amazing it was, and ended the email of like with compliments. So her essay was all about like how we kind of sometimes free work does lead to bigger, more amazing opportunities. Like creating free content on YouTube leads to, or LinkedIn can lead to awesome clients and awesome things. But sometimes you have to kind of know when to draw the line, especially in the writing industry. And I think in the creator industry as well. But specifically in the writing industry, she talks about how and you need to know when to draw the line at free stuff, at doing things for free, and being like, you know what, I'm not going to do that for free. I want to get paid what I am worth and all that jazz. But some of the lines that she said is like this one, like craft, skill, art, work. I lay my trust in building decks, the making of tables, the assembling of words into sentences, So one of the phrases that she writes that I really liked was, I lay my trust in the assembling of words into sentences, into thoughts, into stories. Craft, skill, art, work, all. People wonder when you're allowed to call yourself a writer. I think maybe the answer is when you recognize that it is work. That's one. Well, that one I like because it sounds cool. For like this one, compliments don't pay their rent as a bumper sticker. Instead, he looked at me steely-eyed. Too bad compliments don't pay the rent. But like steely-eyed is nice. The illusion of work, a fun house mirror reflection. Like that one is like really nice. The illusion of work, a fun house mirror reflection, time pressed and time. Like I'm even reading it wrong. Like time pressed. So instead of like time pressed, like I'm time pressed, I'm under pressure, it's like time became this force. Time in this case is a force that's pressing. So time pressed and question marks hovered like hummingbirds. Gone desperate and mean. Time pressed and question marks hovered like hummingbirds, gone desperate and mean. That's pretty. The balance of bodywork and brain